They want them.
Yeah, I mean, this is another 100% win rate Gen.G map, like most of them are. So yeah, we know where Countdown's coming from there.
Yeah, but we've seen games that that team played where it was just basically, okay, how fast can we end this?
They've opened up the opportunity for Rich's Alarak though, so that might be a crowd favorite.
And that's not the only one. The Tracer that I talked about before, and even Hanzo on this map, got to be banned or will be first pick for sure, because if BTG pick the map, of course Gen.G will have the first one. If Hanzo is let in Rich's hand, we know what's going to happen. It's going to be painful.
Well, I refuse to let you guys wait any longer before we head into this draft to find out if we'll see any of those picks. It is Battlefield of Eternity, game number 2 between BTG and Gen.G.
When you pick Battlefield against a Korean team in Gen.G in particular, then either you have a crazy draft prepared or you just simply like pain. So one of the two is going to be true here for BTG. But again, they played a lot better than expected in game number 1, all things considered. We have Maiev banned out once more by Gen.G as we did in the previous map. So far, the bans are exactly mirroring game number 1.
So far, indeed, but once again, it's a map where immortal races can become more important.
So I noted down the bans earlier in the previous series, and I'm currently looking at the draft again. And I actually noted down, instead of Gen.G, I wrote down Rich.
Oh dear. Well, we are going to be seeing the second ban coming in for Gen.G, and it's going to be Hanzo. Once again, this time finally adjusting. Immortal races are so important on this map, so seeing that banned out, not too surprising. And speaking of another one, the potential for Exterminator getting removed. If not, then Rain is still just solid.
The one thing that I actually was a bit surprised in, and as we're just talking about Reina, and maybe Jiggler, you have an answer to that. Currently, from a European perspective, like all of us were very much surprised that we have such a huge priority into Behemoth armor on level 4 for Reina. Is that something that you guys have seen throughout the entire season? Because I really haven't picked up on that. I watched quite a bit of Korea, but it's never something that stood out on me, because for us it was all about fight or flight, and I thought I saw that in Korea too. But right now, this is like the 3rd game, I think, where Korean teams are picking Behemoth armor.
Yeah, we actually have a lot of armor. It depends on what they're against, how long the game is going to go, and by individual decisions of the player that's going to be playing Reina. I think it depends, but armor seems to be the way to go. You can actually survive a little bit more with that extra XP. I think that's the reason why.
You get an immediate boost as well. It's definitely an immediate reaction against damage over time, the extra health, whereas the armor is good at protecting against burst. Like you said, it can be very reactionary. China, we also see a fair amount of Behemoth armor as well. With Decade making it into the match, we finally see Karazim coming out from Gen.G this time, and some extra poke damage with that Li Ming.
Li Ming has been the pick to go all the time from Yusa. Of course, getting the critical mass, which gets himself back every single time he gets a kill. And it's just, no, unless you, because BTG was going to be banning either Li Ming or something else, he just picked it up before. With Phoenix Karazim, they have a huge hero pool, so banning Gyarados actually does not really hurt Gen.G in anyhow, because this has so big of a hero pool.
I really like the ban though, because if you have a Karazim already on the other side, then you're always in danger of seeing Diablo just flipped over into a 7-sided strike. And then with Li Ming and Phoenix in the background, that's usually an insta-blow-up. That's something that especially Tempo Storm experienced in one of the series they played at the Western Clash, where they just got blown up over and over again. I think Cursed Hollow was the map where exactly that combo was used again against them multiple times. So the draft that we have from Gen.G's side is already extremely terrifying when it comes to, first of all, the race, and then also just damage output in general.
The Rel makes it in, was completely ignored in the last game, and finally makes it in this time. This is something, though, that BTG have sort of leaned away from. They haven't brought it out much yet. LOK would usually be the person to play that, but we don't see it. 3, I believe, played it a little bit, but once again, he is not the person here. So it's either going to be LOK adjusting, or we are seeing Locktar once again flexing onto that melee role.
Also cooldown picked up by BTG, and oftentimes when there's a mage that doesn't really have too much of an escape, and we do see Dehaka picked up because Dehaka can just come in from the side, harass the backline, making sure he does not cooldown put off any damage to Gen.G when they are diving in. They love to have that pressure in.
Tychus. That's very interesting. So the Tychus very much seems like an LOK hero, but so does the Gul'dan. Neither of these are actually dancing heroes. He has not played them this season at all, so he is adjusting, but it is going to be dancing on that Gul'dan.
I actually like that Tigers is one of those heroes that we always expected to come a bit more into the meta, since we have such a tank-heavy meta where especially Muradin, Diablo and Garrosh are primary heroes. But a lot of teams that you ask, they just feel that Tigers falls a little bit short compared to other damage dealers that you can bring into the draft right now. But just simply looking at his trade, he should do well in the meta. And now seeing him against Muradin on the other side, I like that quite a bit. If they can control Muradin and just force him back, then they can maybe force Gen.G to bit more on the back foot. But again, you mentioned Dehaka earlier. If you play well around the global towards the level 10 spike and can grab that earlier heroic ability, that's oftentimes where the game then starts to snowball for you.
Yeah, they have so many setups for Li Ming with that drag, with that Storm Bolt. I'm very scared for any of the members of BTG, as they also, Deckard doesn't exactly really match the burst protection style when you're protecting against the Li Ming.
Yeah, again, just like BTG, just like CE, how they use Irel aggressively not to actually protect their backline. If BTG actually used that Irel to protect the backline, like the Gul'dan and the Tychus, if they can put out that maximum damage they were supposed to against Muradin, who will be jumping in very aggressively from Tist, I think they actually have a very good chance of taking at least few kills or even winning the team fight. Very early team fight, they don't really have the best race potential, I don't think, but if they win the team fight and then take the Immortal, I think that's, of course, a way to win the game.
Percentage not shifting that much here in favor of either teams, like maybe a percentage point either way. What do you have to say?
I'm a little bit torn on Gul'dan. This is really the one hero where I'm looking at the draft and I'm saying, okay, what are you going to get out of this? And even if it comes to any kind of mage damage, I could have seen them more so with a Jaina or anything else that really would work here. Because with Gul'dan, yes, you have poke as well available to you, but oftentimes it's a priority on wave clear, which is why we're seeing him more on Tomb of the Spider Queen or on Infernal Shrines. So and even there he has fallen off. So for this map, I'm curious how much value they can get out of the pick.
As am I, but luckily we do not have to wait to find out, as we are heading into game number 2 of this best of 3. It's going to be BTG versus Gen.G on Battlefield of Eternity. And ladies and gentlemen, spawning on the left-hand side, representing China, looking for a win. It is Beyond the Game of Heroes of the Storm. And it's going to be Dancing coming in on that Gul'dan. It is Healer Please on that Deckard Kane. 619 on Diablo, Locktar on Tychus, and LOK is on Urel.
And on the right, Generation Gaming, #1 from Korea. You have Sake on Kerosene Reset on Li Ming, Rich on Phoenix this time, Kyocha on Dehaka, Tist on that Muradin.
This is the first time me and you have cast together in general. It could not be more perfect with a Chinese team versus a Korean team.
Yeah.
It could not be more ideal. However, it's going about how we might have expected, with Gen.G being the Korean team in the game. But BTG, as Carol said, it's one of the better games China put up. They had some good kills. Let's see if they can repeat the performance, maybe even pick up First Blood again. But we have a double lane for Gen.G in the top lane.
They do want to make sure they pressure in Irel a little bit so they to get the pressure. So Gul'dan has to make that rotation because Irel, though very strong hero, can't do the output of 2 heroes at the same time.
Is Muradin, so therefore he just simply jumps away. And yeah, we see already Rich losing all of his shield, but it's the joy of Phoenix. You can juggle and use your shield to trade efficiently against enemies. You could see though Gul'dan had no issues with this. He was able to do that poke damage and then immediately heal up via the minions.
Because of that, they will actually engage. They knew the rotation, but Dancing, he was actually way too far in front, getting the heals back from Rich, but that's not going to be for such a long time. This get rooted, so
getting it!
Rich does go down. That's a great trade for BTG.
Healer, please! He can't heal himself, potion not ready. LLK is still going hard though. In comes 619, but Sake, with that extra speed from Iron Fist, is able to escape.
Rich had a lot of chance to escape, but actually, Healer, please, having the perfect route so he does not actually escape out of that.
Yeah.
He's been a great member of a team so far.
He
Only 2 games in. I'm very surprised at how well he's actually playing as Stu Cobb in first game and Deckard already.
He just found out he was playing for this team yesterday when we found out that the original substitute Pao could not make it. So as such, he has had no warning, no practice with this team, has shown up today and is putting on a show. I like this guy.
BTG with the Gul'dan, as Carlo was questioning that a little bit.
And Yorkshire, round 2. Tigers went down in the bot lane, so instead they're turning for Rich and another trade. 1-for-1 this time, though.
Rich feeds, and that's what happens.
Not a sentence you hear very often, Rich feeds. As we see Gen.G, though, still taking control of bot lane. Bottom Kazaras with Tigers down. No one is soaking XP there. No one is defending this. This is going to be a big XP loss for BTG, as Gen.G have already rotated back up to top lane.
With the Haka, they also have the global control, and I think their rotation actually starts with, as we have the Immortals coming out very soon, we'll have the camp, and look at that, even Tis just spotting, understanding the timing. There was no one doing camp at the moment, so Gen.G can just go ahead and try to put out the damage. They will have some extra time, so using that information, because Tis could just go around a little bit.
Tigers didn't actually miss that much XP and has been able to stay in this bot lane in time to clean up that Kazara camp, as has Dahaka very nearly in top lane. Both these lanes will now be empowered in reverse by those Fallen Shaman camps as the objective starts, and Li Ming does what Li Ming does, and that is poke consistently.
With cooldown, BTG will have the late game damage, but
Yeah.
we're talking about late game again, as Chinese teams are looking for that late game a lot, and it often will work.
Interrupting the warp. Where's the body blocks? They are beautiful. Root lands and Rich goes down again. The kill count finally evened up, and for the first time, a Chinese team has a level lead.
This is actually what some of the Korean players actually, the reason why they do not like to play Phoenix. Warp has, it actually takes some time to actually warp out, and there are so many roots and less cleanses now in the game. And you can get caught just like that easily oftentimes, and BTG is picking off the right target all the time.
And yet, even a person down, they are going aggressively here. Dancing has eaten so much damage, but the root is good, and Karazim goes down. BTG turning it up right now. They will get the halfway show, and that's going to force Kyoja, who was hovering around looking for a snipe there, to back up. He does not want to get himself caught out.
That was also 6 on 9, great, because once Li Ming gets that reset, he was going to get multiple kills as they had very low HP members. He charged onto Li Ming, making sure Li Ming was out of the actual team fight. Karazin dived in alone, thinking that reset would follow him. Did not really connect, and that was a super play, I would say.
And here is the first Chinese Immortal as they're going to look to make a play here. BTG needs to be careful. 619 getting pressured, as is Healer Blitz. Good orb! And 619 gives his life for the cause. He knew his team was in trouble. Locked though, came back in. I think they thought they could make a play, but they are going to get absolutely wrecked for their insolence.
Trying to make it 4th, but goes over the wall, reset.
So much poison.
They're still looking for kills right next to the wall. Since Immortal's still walking there as. But this one will just maybe open the game, but that's going to be basically it. Gen.G followed them, even though they were going to, they needed some time to actually go back to Immortal, but they got a lot more experience value because they got the kills, and 3 kills indeed.
That XP lead just kind of evaporated right here as we see that Immortal taken out. It only got a tower and a gate, but there are some weak towers in this bot lane. BTG going to pick up the Impaler camp, and looks like they're going to try and grab a little bit more XP here, mirrored by Gen.G. Grabbing the Impalers in the top lane. They want to put some counter pressure on. Towers up here, a little bit healthier as well.
I think that almost maximum range orb on 4 members of BTG just destroyed them. Sometimes it's just good to soak in that 1 damage, maybe just Diablo just
just back up.
Take the hit instead.
I mean, also the fact that Locktar reacted after 619 went in. They altered the damage, just a terrifying amount of damage, and 619 is like, okay, yep, I'm going to try and be a distraction, but he ends up with his team reacting, so potentially a communication issue with the players who do not play with each other that often.
And because they got dancing is caught, and Karazim goes in, dashes in, Iron Fist for the extra damage, but so survive for such a long time, gets a trading kill, has a reset for Li Ming, and Locktar does survive!
What a save by Healer, please! And Locktar is able to back out here. A 1-for-1, but the health bars so in favor of Gen.G. They're looking for more, but that's deep by Kyoja. In comes Sake from the side. Look at the pressure. LLK is yarelling and keeps alive, eating once again all of those hits. A 619 looks for anyone to step over once he has that domination back.
Even without that, they managed to survive. And Healer Please actually playing a great amount of Rich getting caught once again, but does work out this time. The pair of HGC did not connect perfectly. Sake, he goes in looks for the kills, but he does have to manage to escape as well, so he doesn't really have the dash stacks for himself. unless he gets the kill, he's not really completing the mission, which brings a lot of power spike down for Reset to actually complete with the critical mass. The BTG has been sustaining so well with a teammate that is who is actually not in the team. That's incredible.
Great. They are doing absolutely fantastically here. BTG putting up some of the best showings, but level 10 is now available for Gen.G. That 7-sided strike is going to add so much more burst, and that isolation to assist with that as well. BTG, they're just approaching level 10s, but because of that, they had to give up a huge chunk of that immortal health, so they were going to really struggle unless they choose to fight 5v5, as level 10 has now finally been hit, but they are a little slow as we do see that immortal dropping down even more. Gen.G, though, not wanting to take that 10 versus 10 fight yet.
Yeah, as Li-Ming was clearing up the top wave, just coming in to join the fight now. So this is a good bait by Kyocha, just diving in.
The sleep delays Reset and Sake here as they're being forced to back out, though the damage is good. Locked in that Odin form drops good damage. They're sharing the 7-sided damage so they can do it. Orb is dodged this time as Locked pressures onto them again, but this time everyone was able to disengage.
And BTG, they just got the shields off the immortal for the first one because it was on the left on their side. Yep. 10. They did some damage as long as they can take a member down of Gen.G. They're focusing on one just this time. Create a wave of force to get that knockback, yes.
That was great. The meme. This is a 4 versus 5, remember, as Dahak is in top lane. They still pick up a kill. 4 versus 5. Gen.G wade across with Kyocha rotating in from top lane with the burrow. They're looking for their third kill here in this fight. LOK barely survives, gives the armor to 619, and 619 makes it so it's only a 2 for 0.
It was a scary moment as BTG was losing their positioning. I think they were a little bit too aggressive.
Yep.
For the fact Gen.G also had the part to counter-attack really hard, and Taika's being a little bit off position. Gen.G found the right target. Reset always looking for that massive damage with the burst, with the missiles and the orb together.
That's going to be a big shielded immortal coming into the bottom lane. Urella's gone back top to continue to soak. BTG need to stay in the soak game. They can't just take these team fights and hope. It has to be about these reactions. So now, big shield immortal. What is the reaction from BTG? Their best hope. They have some really good stuff here, with dancing especially.
And of course, cooldown. Dancing has to get the stacks only on 19 right now, so below half. So his mission to actually get the stacks here as much as possible.
The Odin is a very good tool for this. Tist forced back, 619 gets 7-sided stroke. He dove so deep here. Clutch heals, uses his unstoppable to remove the slowest. Down goes the Li-Ming. Horrify is beautiful.
And it does knock Megan, looking for the kill onto Phoenix, does get the kill. Turn that around with all of the help from the Dr. Kane as well. Tist.
Get him. Oh, that jump and the pull as well.
He does have the avatar as well, so he was actually trying to bait one of the targets if it was possible, but they don't really have too much damage. Already used 7-sided strike.
Yep. It would have been a risky bait. He was a little low. Diablo burst with all that follow-up could have been scary, but in any case, they baited them in, nearly got a good pull in. Overall, though, that is still going to be the entire front wall down and, well, the tiniest bit of damage onto the keep. But that was one of BTG's best fights yet.
It was a very cool turnover as Diablo was focused fire. They knew they were focusing, so instead they would do their own damage instead of kind of saving Diablo. That was all Healer Police's job, actually, to keep himself alive. And the potion, sometimes it's really hard. You try to heal. The potion actually does not go perfectly all the time because your ally can actually take it by mistake all the time, but he actually throws in a position where it will be healed at the right target all the time.
Did a good job. There was also a really good sleep. It was very short timing, and the Horrify especially coming in from dancing was on point to set that up, and it's just come off cooldown. Everything is off cooldown now with the Odin up as well. And level-wise, it's still basically a full level lead for Gen.G, but BTG, they're gaining ground here and there. But unfortunately, while they're gaining little tiny bits of ground, tiny towers, Gen.G have been gaining forts after fort.
But they can turn that around by soaking a little bit. They're still on the same talent, only a leveled lead for Gen.G. And they do have Taika's, and so far this could not be as aggressive as he is usually because of that Taika's percent damage is kicking in with minigun all the time. He was also even pressured from HGC at the beginning. Not as much after the Avatar, but still he takes a chunk of damage from Tychus. Could be a pressuring tool all the time.
They're moving in. Dahaka is in this bot lane. He's not showing. He's finally going to move out for some XP. No, he's actually still hiding for XP. But he wanted to react in case the engagement went on fully. And now, thinking about it, but 619, just a bait there.
They do see Killjoy down there now. They do. And are they fully making a rotation? Only Rel goes in for the soak because the Immortal's actually onto the other side. You have to slowly push in, making sure they have vision. Because I don't think they, no, they do. Maybe they do not know where Tist is at the moment.
I don't know if they do or not, because Tychus is sticking quite close to them. Now they do, demounting and revealing Tist there. We're seeing Rich hovering around C619 with his cheeky wrap-around plays. Loctite gets a little bit of damage, quick potion pickup. Kyosha continues to push in. Here comes the salvo. 619 must be focused as the Horrify interrupts that, actually, as Dahaka arrives. Tist forced to back up. Baited Odin though. That's but Odin and Horrify with no kills acquired. That is a pretty efficient move by Gen.G. And immediately you see Loctite trying to burn down the Immortal with this Odin. Needs to gain value out of it.
Yeah, they certainly do, and they're focused on Diablo once again silenced, and that's gone Diablo frontline gaunt, which means they can just engage into any line. Only okay, will be providing some heal, but get that dancing, getting all the soaking damage from Li Ming.
Tychus and Tychus is trying to stay alive. Drag is good. Minions arrive. Sleep will buy a tiny bit of time, but too much AoE damage wakes everyone up. Loktar pulls back and survives, actually. Everyone's under keep right now, but there's no more minions here as they get the reset onto cooldown and look for more. Loktar is so low and is taken out.
Nice. Just dashes out. LK tries to look for a target, but a little bit too late as Gen.G would find Diablo once again.
Fighting underneath the fort with no minions, they're able to chase him down. That is a quadruple kill for Gen.G. They are looking solid. Halfway point is reached. Tiny bit of time for BTG to respawn, but they're going to be defending keeps.
They do have the massive power spike with 16, and that was the reason, also reason why they could do a lot more damage in the post time. And they're going to get this Immortal for free because of that right after the team by BTG. They were risking before 16 that they had some chance. It was risky, but they took the chance. They didn't really get too much value out of it, but I think it was a good timing to engage.
Everyone back up for BTG. They're still alert. They're still 2 levels and an entire talent tier behind. I don't feel good about the keeps of Beyond the Game as Gen.G are going to be looking to push into this top lane.
Tist was always looking. He should be the one that's been sitting in Rich's position, but because Rich is kind of scared because he died so many times against the CC. Never mind, he's not scared, dancing away.
He does back up. He survives though. Everyone is fine as we see that Ancient Blessings drop very early here, so they can try and poke down and burn down this Immortal very quickly. Odin even being dropped to siege this down. They want to avoid the engage by Gen.G, so the best move there is to zone out and fight from further away, but Tist dives deep.
With the Dwarf launch, he can certainly dive deep all the way to the cooldown line, but he's not taking too much damage. This Immortal is still pretty strong.
There is a good Ardent defender. The Stay of One Listen gets only a little bit of value as Tist is just all the way in the backline pressuring Dancing, but Dancing gets out. Now Tist in danger here. LOK applying that armor, but he gets wiped.
And that's going to be the first one. Li Ming dives a little bit too deep alone. At the time, maybe he thought he could see the lethal there, but Dancing's already back in the zone.
Good pull in onto that Diablo. 619 taking a lot of damage, buys himself some time. In the meantime, the Immortal is on the court. A drag on Tychus. He is very squishy. Down he goes. Speaking of squishy, cooldown is removed. And with the Immortal standing tall, this is gonna be it, G-Clef.
Don't think about going back home, 619. That's what Kurt just says. And does get the entire team wipe as the core goes down. That's a clean 2-0.
Nicely done by Gen.G. Slight signs of life from Beyond the Game, but not enough to shut down the juggernaut that is Gen.G.
14 kills in 2 games, though, against Gen.G. A little bit more than we expected, I would say.
Yeah, a lot more than I expected.
I mean, to be honest, when we look at this, BTG straight up won a couple of team fights on even level, which was really surprising here. And it's always tough in the first round to really how much you can value these games. But let's be honest here, if Gen.G wants to win the tournament, they definitely have to step it up.
I think that they were not clean for sure, and they were losing way too many Rich in game 2, way too many Kyocha in game number 1. I think they were trying to take it easy, maybe just to warm up, just get a feeling of what's like to be on stage in Korea. Of course, they haven't been on that stage for such a long time in Korea with all the crowd cheering for them as well. So maybe they just felt some pressure. Maybe they were trying to take this one a little bit easier, a little less serious, I would say.
I mean, Rich in particular tried to find the line, and he found it a couple of times and stepped very heavily over it. So it was an aggressive Phoenix style that we saw from him. Let's put it like that.
Speaking of stepping over the line, though, we've got to talk about stepping above and beyond. The two substitute players for BTG. Healer, please, Korean Open Division player. Definitely would not have expected to be here today, but he showed up and he performed really well.
Yeah. No, he definitely did. And the entire team, again, we talked about this after the first map. Very surprising how cohesive they look as a unit, considering the little amount of time they had to practice.
What, too much lunch?
No, we got new we got new cookies in the back, and they have
oh yes, you haven't.
They have almonds sprinkled on those. So one of them is trying to murder me right now.
But you still survived. And talk about the coordination. I believe they was just using English as a global language. We didn't really see too many pings. I'm guessing they had to get some kind of communication between them. There was some good coordination, great plays from the support to actually keep themselves alive. I think he's filling in and filling in really great. Alufo actually was like the weak link of the team as well, I would say. So I think it's actually not a bad idea to have him here, as they played pretty well against Gen.G.
I mean, Alufo plays for CE.
So never mind.
But overall, that was a really good showing. But Gen.G, like you said, there were a couple mistakes there. And their next opponent is either going to be the One or it's going to be Ballistics. How do you feel about their chances after that?
I still don't know how to value this. For me, Ballistics is actually also quite interesting because they had from a Korean perspective, they had a really embarrassing performance at the mid-season brawl. So this isn't a chance for them to redeem themselves on an offline stage. I mean, obviously, we already had the Korean season, but still, I feel from their view, they need to redeem themselves here to an extent at the tournament. So they're going to come in with a lot of firepower, really trying to step it up from the get-go. But I also believe that the same is going to be true for Gen.G, that they're going to step in with a very, very different mindset and a different attitude than they did just now.
What do you think?
Oh, I think it is going to be a very similar in trend, I would say. But it may be a little bit different, as Ballistics has been struggling a lot in the meta. They were possibly, I actually thought for a few days at least, maybe Blossom can actually outplay Ballistics. It could be possible with Mary Day Onkano diving in. Ballistics, they were having lots of SCSC hero pool problem. I think that may carry into the Eastern Clash, actually.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we are going to send you over to a winner's interview with Gen.G.
And I am joined here with Gen.G's very own Reset, coming off of a victory there against Beyond the Game, as the crowd, very much cheering here with the home favorites here. But I got to go ahead and ask about that crowd there, Reset. How does it feel to perform internationally at an international tournament, in front of a Korean crowd, in front of the home turf?
이런 국제적인 대회를 한국 팬들 앞에서 하는 기분이 어떤가요?
사실 한국에서 한다는 것 자체가 좀 많이 영광스럽고, 이제 이스턴이 전부 다 외국에서 열렸었는데 이번에는 한국에서 열려가지고 많이 좋은 것 같아요.
So Eastern Clash has always been held outside of Korea. I think it's a huge honor that it's held in Korea, and I'm really glad for it.
Yeah, it's really awesome that we do end up having that here in South Korea. It's awesome to be able to visit. And one thing I've got to ask as well is, looking back at that last series, especially at game number 2, a lot of people did not expect it to be nearly as competitive as it was. Can you give some thoughts as to maybe why that game was a little bit, closer than, again, maybe expected?
방금 하신 경기가 특히 두 번째 세트가 이제 상대가 기대했던 것보다 훨씬 분발했는데 어떤 이유로 그렇게 됐다고 생각하시나요?
저희가 이제 첫 세트에서 많이 이기고 난 다음에 들떴어요. 그래가지고 좀 그 분위기를 주체하지 못하고 많이 들뜬 상태에서 게임하다 보니까 좀 많이 힘들게 갔던 것 같아요.
So after winning first set with huge gap, we got a little too excited, and I think that might have had us a little overconfident for second set.
You know, understandably so here again, especially with the crowd that you guys end up having here. But I've got to ask, not only with the honor of having, you know, the Eastern Clash in South Korea, but then also it's one of the few titles that Gen.G do not have under their belt. Do you feel any pressure or any extra emphasis on trying to earn this Eastern Clash for Gen.G?
아까 한국에서 이스턴 클래시가 열린 것에서 영광이라고 말씀하셨는데 아직 젠지가 차지하지 못한 타이틀 중에 하나가 이스턴 클래시의 우승이에요. 그래서 한국에서 하는데 이제 뭐 더더욱 부담감을 느끼시는지 알고 싶다고 합니다.
이스터넷에 대한 좀 부담감 같은 거는 딱히 없고 오히려 요즘 이스터넷에 대한 그 뭐 2등이 이제 블리즈컨을 먹는다는 그런 게 좀 있다 보니까 그냥 부담감 없이 좀 편하게 하고 있어요.
So I don't feel much of a pressure, and I looking back at the history, if you make it to second place in Eastern Clash, you make it to BlizzCon. So I think overall, I don't feel much pressure.
Looking for the long victory there with the BlizzCon, understandably so. And congratulations on the victory there against BTG. We have more action here for the HGC Eastern Clash. As up next, we are going to have, it's going to be Ballistics taking on the one out of China. So we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and when we come back, more HGC.